For the more serious audio enthusiast, there are a couple of enemies in audio quality. Electromagnetic interference, or EMI, is one of the biggest. You may perceive it as a humming sound in the background, which is something that you definitely don't want to hear, as they become very distracting. But there's also another one you may not have heard of, but it's just as annoying as EMI. Jitter. And the Jitterbug is here to eliminate just that. Well, hello there and welcome to another video here on Anton's Hardware. Imagine you're listening to music and suddenly there's a tiny hiccup or a slight irregularity in the timing of the notes, or even worse, some loud static. Now that's jitter. Now, in more technical terms, audio devices and systems have clocks that regulate the timing when sounds are played or recorded. Jitter occurs when these clocks don't keep perfect time, causing tiny fluctuations in the timing of the audio signals. Now, this can lead to subtle distortions in sound, affecting the overall quality. Thus, minimizing jitter is important in audio systems to ensure a smooth and accurate reproduction of sound. Now, the Universal Serial Bus, a USB, is a common interface for connecting various devices to computers. In the context of audio, USB is often used to transmit digital audio between the computer and the digital to analog converter or other audio equipment. Jitter can be introduced by fluctuations in the timing in the USB data stream. And because the USB audio signals are transmitted in packets, and if there were timing irregularities or disturbances in the disturbances in the USB signal, it can lead to jitter in the audio output. Okay, now we're entering the snake oil zone because there are a lot of devices claiming that they can reduce jitter and unwanted noise. But how this is done isn't entirely clear. Enter the AudioQuest Jitterbug. The AudioQuest website is full of descriptions of what the Jitterbug is for, but its main goal is this: noise reduction and noise dissipation. Great, that's what we want. The website even tells you that using two of them is even better. You can stick it into any USB socket and it will still work. You don't even have to place the USB device in the Jitterbug for it to function. You can use it with all audio devices, but it will perform best with the Dragonfly Black or Red. And I think you've already guessed it, I have the red and I have the black. Now, I'm currently working on a video on all of them, so if you don't want to miss out, subscribe. The Cobalt or the Blue, which I also have here, itself employs some Jitterbug filtering, and so the two filters in series can either help or hurt performance depending on the specific equipment or context. A lot of claims are being made and more than enough material for me to work with. Now, before I fire up my Rightmark audio analyzer, I enjoyed a very long listening session because I wanted to hear the difference. But can I? Now, for this I use both the red and the Dragonfly Black, like the AudioQuest website suggests. For measuring this, I listened to both with and without the Jitterbug. So every song in my test was, well, listened to twice. And for testing purposes, I used two headphones. I used two headphones. First, the Audio-Technica ATH-MRS, now whatever, a great headphone, which is very precise and has great spatial audio reproduction. Second was the Biodynamic DT990 Pro, a headphone that feels like a warm bath to me with warm and luscious sound. And what did I hear? Well, I could hear some difference, but it wasn't like it was better. Actually, it got a bit worse. For instance, in the song Says by Niels Fram, at the beginning you can hear the audience very quietly in the background. Now with the Jitterbug, this was almost removed. It seems like the Jitterbug perceives this as noise somehow. Another instance, in the song Sign by Eric Clapton, there's some feedback in the song around 2 minutes and 28 seconds, which is filtered out. Now, one can say this is a good thing because it's doing what it's supposed to do, it's removing noise. But in my opinion, it was sort of intended in the song. It wasn't caused by the equipment like the AudioQuest Red or Black. It should have remained in the audio. You can argue that that the Jitterbug just removes certain frequencies like Dolby used to do with cassette tapes back in the days. Now, besides the perceived removal of frequencies, the audio seemed like a lot more was going on. It sounded crowded, like it was more distracting because other stuff was going on. Something I didn't enjoy. In a very complicated piece of music by Jacqueline Dupré, which is a masterful recording by the way, you could hear more noise in the background, which isn't static from the recording, which wasn't removed. But maybe I'm getting older and thus a bit more deaf, maybe it's my hearing. What does Rightmark Audio Analyzer say? Let's take a look at those results. And now for my Rightmark Audio Analyzer results. Now, just to make everything perfect for testing, I also got myself some brand new cables, also by AudioQuest. The first is this one. It's the Forest USB-C to USB-C cable. Now, I'll be covering this one in another video as well. And the other one is this, the Tower 3.5mm to 3.5mm cable for the analog output. Now, I did just to make sure that my cables weren't to blame. And by the way, I'm not getting sponsored in any way by AudioQuest, so I had to pay full price for them. And now for the objective results. How did that fare? Okay, I did my testing at first with the AudioQuest Red. And this is the compare run number 1. From left to right I tested the noise level, dynamic range, total harmonic distortion in the middle, the intermodular distortion plus noise and the stereo crosstalk. Now it may seem that the negative figures are getting any better and are a positive thing, but in this case they're all negatives. I mean, the noise level got worse, the dynamic range got worse, there was an increase in the total harmonic distortion, there was an increase in the intermodular distortion plus noise, and also the stereo crosstalk got worse. And then I thought, well, maybe it's the first measurements, the first run, so let's compare it to another run, the second run. And then you get these figures, almost identical, so the test was valid. And then I thought, well, maybe I should test it with the black. And I did an average of the results of the red and did the test with the AudioQuest Black. And here you can see some of the same figures, although the total harmonic distortion plus noise isn't as bad as with the red. And then I thought, well, maybe something else is going on. Let's test it with the Cobalt. And as the website suggested, well, there isn't any increase in performance or whatever. It's just, well, nearly identical. And then I thought, well, maybe I need to use another device. It's maybe the Dragonflies that I have. So I tested the Apple USB-C, a tiny little device that I was so, well, almost enthusiastic about because it was so tiny and such a great device that surely would need some filtering. But here you can see that the total harmonic distortion has increased as well, as did the intermodular distortion plus noise. Then I thought, well, maybe I should use something more expensive, like the Sheathell 2E. And here you can see almost the same figures as the Cobalt has. And then I did a test where I inserted the Jitterbug in another port, and I inserted the Red in another port. And these are the results that I got. Now, I'm not such a statistical, mathematical guy, but this almost seems to fall within the margin of error. I mean, only the intermodular distortion plus noise with minus 1.9% is an increase in performance. All the others, well, let's just say it's 0%, so it has no effect whatsoever. So with these results, I was kind of shocked. It doesn't have any improvement whatsoever. Now, while doing my research on how this product works, I came across a video made by Amir from Audio Science Review. He made a great video about this and did a lot better job than I'm doing. It's a lot more technical, but therefore a lot more thorough than I'm doing. You can find a link to his video just below. Give him a thumbs up. And now for my conclusion. Well, I don't think I have to say it. The Jitterbug does absolutely nothing at best. And in most other cases, it will make the audio sound worse. I mean, in the case of the AudioQuest Red, it was way worse. In the case of the Black, it was just a little worse. And with the Cobalt, there was absolutely no difference, as were with the other devices that I tested. I didn't hear any difference in the listening sessions, and Brightmark, well, says exactly the same. So, if you're planning on improving your audio quality, it's maybe better to get another DAC and not get the Jitterbug because it's, well, rubbish. And for this ending, I would like to thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video. And I'd like to see you in the next one. See you then. Bye-bye!